Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. Welcome to our Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya, everyday reading Bhagavat, Srimad Bhagavatam reading class. So we are continuing reading Srimad Bhagavatam, 10th canto, 14th chapter, Brahma's prayers to Lord Krishna. So today we'll start from 24th fourth verse. So at first we'll recite Mangalacharan, then we'll continue from our verse. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskrityam Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayo Mudirayat Nashtaprayeshu Abhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Nashtiki Mukam Karti Vachalam Tungam Langayate Girim Yatkripātamaham Vande Shrigundunatārinam Paramanandamamadhavam Sichaitanya Isharam Namayam Vishnupādāya Krishna Preshthāya Bhutale Srimate Bhakticharu Swami Bhutinamine Snigdhacheto Supraneto Bhagminam Charashapatam Prabhupada Prana Bhakticharu Padam Namayam Vishnupādāya Krishna Preshthāya Bhutale Srimate Loknath Swami Nitinamine Namam Vishnupādāya Krishna Preshthāya Bhutale श्रीमते भक्ति वेदांत स्वामी नामिने नमस्ते सरस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्यदेशतारिणे मुखं कदति वाचालं पंगुं लंघयते गिरिं यत्कृपातमहं वन्दे श्रीगुरुन्यन्तारिणं परमानन्दमाधवं चैतन्येश्वरम् तत्सत् हरे कृष्णा I am Advaita Pran from Newtown, Kolkata. So we're going to start Srimad Bhagavatam, 10th canto, 14th chapter, 24th verse. So I'm share my screen. You can see the screen. Srimad Bhagavatam. Evam vidam tvam sakalatmanam api swatmanam atmat mataya vichakshate Guru arka labdho panishat suchakshusha yete taranti va bhavan bhavanatrita buddhim. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada, Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. Translation: those who have received the clear vision of knowledge from the sun-like spiritual master can see you in this way as the very soul of all souls, the super soul of everyone's own self. Thus, understanding your original personality, they are able to cross over the ocean of illusory material existence. Here, Prabhupada given his purport as confirmed in the Bhagavad Gita 4.9. Janma karma cha me divyam evam jo vetti tattata takta deham punarjanma naitimami tisha arjuna. One who knows the transcendental nature of my appearance and activities does not, upon leaving the body, take his birth again in this material world, but attains my eternal abode, O Arjuna. Text 25. Atmanam evat mataya vichanatam tenaiva jatam nikhilam prapanchitam jnanena bhuyo api chatat praliyate rajvam ahir bhoga bhava bhavau yatha. Translation: a person who mistakes a rope for a snake becomes fearful, but he then gives up his fear upon realizing that the so-called snake does not exist. Similarly, for those who fail to recognize you as the supreme soul of all souls, the expansive illusory material existence arises. But knowledge of you at once causes it to subside. Purport: those submerged in illusion see material existence as infinite. Just as one who is submerged in water sees only water all around him. For example, material scientists and philosophers submerge deep within the ocean of material illusion. Imagine that material nature extends infinitely in all directions. In fact, the material creation is a finite ocean of ignorance in which foolish living entities such as material scientists are unceremoniously dunked by the order of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. To be trapped in a world in which all things are born and die is certainly a fearful experience. Anyone trapped in a dark place naturally becomes fearful, since material life is always covered by the darkness of ignorance. Every conditioned soul is fearful. The material nature is not unlimited, ultimate reality, and thus analysis of matter can never provide answers to ultimate questions. This dark snake-like existence called material life immediately disappears as soon as one opens his eyes to the bright light of Krishna consciousness. Text 26. Ajnana samjano bhava bandha mokshau tau nama nanyo starita jnana bhavat अजस्र शीति अजस्र शीति आत्मनि केवले परे विचार्यमाने तरण इवाहनी. Translation: The conception of material bondage and the conception of liberation are both manifestations of ignorance. Being outside the scope of true knowledge, they cease to exist when one correctly understands that the pure spirit soul is distinct from matter and always fully conscious. At that time, bondage and liberation no longer have any significance, just as day and night have no significance from the perspective of the sun. Purport: Material bondage is illusion because the living entity actually has no real relationship with the material world. Because of false ego, the conditioned soul identifies himself with matter. Therefore, so-called liberation is simply the giving up of an illusion rather than a release from actual bondage. Yet, even if we think that the suffering of a material illusion is real and that liberation is thus a meaningful release from suffering, the mere absence of material existence is still significant compared to the achievement of actual spiritual life, which is the positive eternal reality opposed to the negative illusion of material life. Ultimately, Krishna consciousness or pure love of God head is the only significant, meaningful, and permanent status for every living entity. Since the darkness of night is caused by the absence of the sun, one would not experience night within the sun itself, nor would one experience individual days separated by nights. Similarly, within the pure living entity, there is no material darkness and thus no experience of liberation from such darkness. When the conditioned soul comes to this platform of pure consciousness, it becomes fit to associate with the Supreme Pure, the personality of Godhead Himself in the Lord's own abode. 27. Tam Atmanam Param Matva Param Atmanam Evacha Atma Punarbahir Mrigya Aho Agyana Janata Janata Janatajnata. Translation: Just see the foolishness of those ignorant persons who consider you to be some separated manifestation of illusion and who consider the self, which is actually you, to be something else, the material body. Such fools conclude that the Supreme Soul is to be searched for somewhere outside your Supreme Personality. But Lord Brahma is amazed at the gross ignorance of conditioned souls who consider Lord Krishna's supreme spiritual body to be material. Ignorant of the spiritual form of the Lord, such persons also consider their own material bodies to be the self, and therefore they conclude that spiritual reality is to be found somewhere beyond the supreme personality of Lord Krishna. Sometimes such fools consider Lord Krishna to be one of many individual souls who together constitute a single impersonal spiritual entity. Unfortunately, such speculators are not inclined to hear from the Lord himself or from the Lord's authorized representatives, such as Lord Brahma, because they whimsically speculate on the nature of the Supreme. Their ultimate result is confusion and ignorance, which they uh, euphemistically describe as the mystery of life. Text 28. अंतर्भावे अनंत भवान तम एवा ऐत अतात त्याजना तो मृगयन्ति संता अशांतम अपि अन्ति अहिम अंतरेण शांतम गुणाम तम किम ज्ञान्ति संता. Translation of Unlimited Lord, the saintly devotees seek you out within their own bodies by rejecting overthinking, rejecting everything separate from you. Indeed, how can discriminating persons appreciate the real nature of a rope lying before them until they refute the illusion that it is a snake? But one may argue that a person should cultivate self-realization and at the same time pursue sense gratification for the material body. This proposition is herein refuted by the example of misidentifying a rope as a snake. One who mistakes a rope for a snake becomes fearful and thinks of the so-called snake. But upon discovering that the so-called snake is actually a rope, he experiences a different emotion, relief, and can then ignore the rope. Similarly, because we misunderstand the material body to be the self, we are experiencing many emotions in relation to the body. Upon discovering, however, that the body is simply a bag of material chemicals, we carefully note how this illusion was created and then lose interested in the body, discovering that we are actually an eternal soul within the body. We naturally focus our attention on that real self. Those who are saintly and wise always cultivate Krishna consciousness. Spiritual knowledge having transcended the foolish misidentification of the body as the self. Such Krishna conscious persons go on to realize the supreme personality of Godhead dwells within the material body as the super soul. The witness and guide of every living entity, realization of the super soul and the individual soul is so pleasing and satisfying that a self-realized person automatically gives up everything irrelevant to his spiritual advancement. Text 29. अथापि ते देवा पदं भुजद्वया प्रसादलेशं लेशं उगृहीता एव हि जानाति तत्त्वं भगवान् महिम्नो न चन्य एको अपि चिरं विचिन्वाम्. Translation, my lord, if one is favored by even a slight trace of the mercy of your lotus feet, he can understand the greatness of his personality. But those who speculate to understand the Supreme Personality of Godhead are unable to know you, even though they continue to study the Vedas for many years. Purport. This translation is quoted from Srila Prabhupada's Chaitanya Charitamrita Madhya Lila, chapter 6, text 84. Lord Krishna is very eager to bestow his mercy upon the conditioned living beings who are uselessly struggling with the Lord's illusory energy Maya. The conditioned soul struggles for happiness through sense gratification and for knowledge uh, through mental speculation. Both processes ultimately bring him to a morose and hopeless condition. If the conditioned soul surrenders to the lotus feet of the Lord Krishna and thus acquires even a trace of his causeless mercy, the whole situation is changed, and the living entity can begin his real life of bliss and knowledge in Krishna consciousness. Text 30. तदस्तु मे नाथ स भूरि भागो भावे अत्र वन्यत्र तु भातिराश्चम् येनाहम् एको अपि भवाज जनानां भूत्वा निषेवे तव पद पल्लवाम्. Translation, my dear Lord, I therefore pray to be so fortunate that in this life, as Lord Brahma, or in another life, wherever I take my birth, I may be counted as one of your devotees. I pray that wherever I may be, even among the animal species, I can engage in devotional service to your lotus feet. Text 31. अहो अति धन्या व्रज पुरामन्या स्तन्यामृतां पितम् अतीव ते मुदा यशं विभो वत्सातरात् मजात्माना यत् यत्तृप्यते अदयपि नाचलम् advara. Translation, O Almighty Lord, how greatly fortunate are the cows and ladies of Vrindavan. The nectar of those whose breast milk you have happily drunk to your full satisfaction, taking the form of their calves and children. All the Vedic sacrifices performed from time immemorial up to the present day have not given you as much satisfaction. Text 32. अहो भाग्यम नंदगोपा व्रजोकशम यन्मित्रं परमं नंदम पूर्णं ब्रह्मा सनातनम. Translation, how greatly fortunate are Nanda Maharaj, the cowherd men and all the other inhabitants of Brajabhumi. There is no limit to their good fortune because the absolute truth, the source of transcendental bliss, the eternal supreme Brahman has become their friend. What this translation is quoted from Srila Prabhupada's Chaitanya Charitamrita Madhya Leela, chapter 6, text 149. Text 33. येषां तु भाग्या महिमाच्युता तवत् हस्तम् एकादशैव इवायं पात भूरि भागा एतत् दृशिका चषकैः असकृत् पिबामा सर्वदायो अनघ्रि उदाजा माधव अमृता सवम ते. Translation, yet even though the extent of the good fortune of these residents of Vrindavan is inconceivable, we 11 presiding deities of the various senses, headed by Lord Shiva, are also most fortunate because the senses of these devotees of Vrindavan are the cups through which we repeatedly drink the nectarian, intoxicating beverage of the honey of your lotus feet. Tadbhuri bhagyam, slok 34. Tadbhuri bhagyam iha janma kim api atavayam yad gokule api gatamangari rajo abhishekam yad jivitam tu nikhilam bhagavan mukundas tab adhyapit yat pada raja suti mrigyam eva. Translation, my greatest possible good fortune would be to take any birth, whatever, in this forest of Gokula and have my head bathed by the dust falling from the lotus feet of any of its residents. Their entire life and soul is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Mukunda, the dust of whose lotus feet is still being searched for in the Vedic mantras. Purport. This verse indicates that Lord Brahma desires to take birth even as the smallest blade of grass in Vrindavan, so that the holy residents of the Lord's abode may walk upon his head and bless him with the dust of their feet. Being realistic, Lord Brahma does not aspire to directly achieve the dust of Lord Krishna's feet. Rather, he aspires for the mercy of the Lord's devotees. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur explains that Brahma is willing to take birth even as a stone in a paved footpath in the Lord's abode. Since Brahma is the creator of the entire universe, we can just imagine the glorious position of the residents of Vrindavan. The Lord's devotees achieve their exalted position by unalloyed devotion and love. One cannot achieve such spiritual opulence by any puffed up material process of personal improvement. In Krishna Supreme, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Sri Prabhupada reveals the mind of Brahma as follows. But if I am not so fortunate to take birth within the forest of Vrindavan, I beg to be allowed to take birth outside the immediate area of Vrindavan so that when the devotees go out, they will work over me. Even that would be a great fortune for me. I am just aspiring for a birth in which I will be smeared by the dust of the devotees' feet. Slok 35. येषां घोषानिवासिनाम् उताभवं किं देवारतेति चेतो विश्वाफलत्फलं त्वदपरं कुत्रपि अयन् मुह्यति सद्वेषात् इव पुतानपि साकुला त्वम् एव देवापिता यद्धम यद्धमर्था सुहृद् प्रियतमा तानया प्रणा सस्य त्वत्कृते. My mind becomes bewildered just trying to think of what reward other than you could be found anywhere. You are the embodiment of all benedictions which you bestow upon these residents of the covered community of Vrindavan. You have already arranged to give yourself to Putna and her family members in exchange for her disguising herself as a devotee. So, what is left for you to give these devotees of Vrindavan, whose whose homes, wealth, friends, dear relations, bodies, children, and very lives and hearts are all dedicated only to you. So today we'll stop here. From tomorrow we'll start from verse 36. Uh, if anyone has any comments, question, or any suggestions, you can write me in our WhatsApp group, or you can personally message if you have any inquiry or regarding this. Hare Krishna, Palika Mataji. Welcome to our Srimad Bhagavatam
Hare
class.
Krishna Prabhuji Dhamma.
Dandavat Pranam. So, how are you? Good?
I'm good, yes. Prabhuji. I saw कि अभी
Okay.
ब्रह्मा प्रेस साइट हो रहा है, साइट ज्वाइन. एक्चुअली
Actually,
बंगाली में क्लास समझ में नहीं आता, इंग्लिश इज ओके.
okay. Actually, this is Purushottam month. So, we start again our Bhagavatam class. Previously, we continuously reading this Bhagavatam class. So, we start again from Canto 10th, Brahma Shruti to Lord
ओके
Krishna. So you can join every day from 3 p.m. to 3:30 if you are free.
ओके प्रभुजी.
Okay.
या थैंक
Okay.
यू.
So you can see the recordings also, previous classes. I already sent it to group. Okay. So we stop here. जय जगत गुरु श्री प्रभुपाद की श्रीमद् भागवतम की जय. गुरु आचार्य